Floyd County Commission meeting. Thank you for being here tonight. We're going to start our meeting with Commissioner Hancock's going to lead us in our prayer and our pledge.
Thank you. If you would, pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the day, dear Lord. Thank you for the opportunities that you give us, dear Lord. And just bless those who serve our country and serve our community. Bless their families, bless our governments, and just give us the strength, courage, and wisdom to always do your will. These things I ask in your name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion from the commission to approve our agenda for tonight?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Maxey, second by Commissioner Waters to approve the agenda. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Maxey,
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock,
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters,
Yes.
Chair Bagby.
Yes.
Motion carries.
We have several people signed up for public participation tonight. I want to remind you, as we always do, of our rules. Each person would have 3 minutes. The time will show on the screen behind us, and we ask you to be vigilant about that and stick to your time if you can. We'll call you as you signed up. Come up and give us your name, your address, and you can start your comments. Our first speaker tonight is Angelo Rubino. Angela, excuse me.
Hello, I'm Angela Rubino. I live at 1410 Kingston Highway. To be clear, I am not affiliated with any political group. Monday, October 4th, was scheduled for LNA testing in the community room. Election board members were informed that they have failed to correctly notify the public properly, and all testing should have been stopped. We were asked to wait in the community room. On our way up, we were met by a member of election board to confirm the information that they were provided with. We were asked to remain in the community room until they figured out the next step. About 30 minutes in, myself and another individual decided to go downstairs to the election office, and that's when I noticed a gentleman on a poll pad who was not a county employee and was referred to as a Mr. Hawkins. We then proceeded down an open hallway with no signage that addressed that the public should not be allowed. Also to find that the equipment room door was open yet again. From my understanding, a constant problem where by law that door should be locked. After waiting the rest of the morning, we were told that LNA testing will be rescheduled for October 10th and 11th. So by noon, I left. Around 3:31 in the afternoon, a concerned citizen decided to come by the election office to find the same gentleman on the poll pads. My question is why? If we were sent home because testing was supposedly over, what was he doing on the poll pads? October 10th, I was at LNA testing, and in all honesty, it would have been nice if the said certified election clerk didn't have designees answering all public questions. Are they fully state certified? It would have been reassuring if the said certified election clerk answered our questions. A perfect opportunity to show how knowledgeable the said clerk is. Now, you are proposing to change from a 3-member to a 5-member board, an absolute disaster in the making. You need to change the bylaws through legislation to guarantee a bipartisan election board. This must all be done prior to voting. So in all honesty, let's just call it what it is, the great cover-up. We have not just been asking for any type of independent review. We have been asking for a performance review. And I ask the audience tonight to raise their hand in any support of a performance review. We want guarantee that the people doing the review are fully knowledgeable in every aspect of election. This is why it is important to have it by the state election board. Thank you.
Thank you. Layla Shipman is next.
Layla Shipman, 109 Lookout Circle. Though I live in the city, County Election Board and the election office do affect my votes. I want to thank the Board of Commissioners for listening to the concerns of the voters of Floyd County. I am in favor of SB 202 and a 5-member election board. But if a peer review gets the ball rolling, then I'm happy something is finally being done. Thank you for being deliberate in your decisions, and I look forward to a complete review of our election board in office.
Thank you very much. Francis Heron.
Some of you may remember I'm a retired educator.
Francis, you need to stand just as close to the microphone. You can take your mask off.
I can't take my
yeah,
mask.
if you'd like to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and you can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I usually am here only for the educators, not like I'm going to be here tonight, but I'm coming here to plead for Vanessa Waddell because I've been working with her since 2004, and she has been a shining example for Rome as a true leader. Every time we've had any problems in the election office, she was always there for me and for all of us that were working, and I've never ever enjoyed it so much as I have with her as our chairman, or whatever we might call her. But I just wanted to say that she has been the rock for Floyd County. She loves our county, and as I do, because I grew up here in Rome, Georgia. And I just want to ask you all to think about letting Vanessa be in charge of our elections office. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Luella Hopgood.
Hi, I'm Luella Hopgood, and I'm here tonight as president of the Rome Floyd County League of Women Voters. If you're not familiar with the League, we are a non-partisan group, and by that I mean we neither support nor oppose any candidate or party. Our work is in voter education in an engaged electorate, and we have, as part of the League, an observer corps. We've had the pleasure of working with the Board of Elections since 2017 in the Observer Corps. And we want to commend the current board on their willingness to hear and accept questions. We want to thank them for the transparency that they have shown in their answers, and especially thank them for their volunteer service, the hours that they have logged into what has become, I'm sure, an increasingly difficult job. We understand their desire to increase from 3 to 5 members, and there are a couple of concerns that come up with that. The first is that the Board of Elections members are being harassed to the point that service on that board might become onerous for anybody who is not aligned with the people who are doing the harassing. That's a genuine concern. The second one is that any increase to the membership of that board, that we would ask with the same mission that we have of nonpartisanship, of voter education, of an engaged electorate, that the people who do come onto that board, if it is possible, be an example of nonpartisanship. You might have to look pretty hard, but we hope that in filling those spots, you'll give full consideration to the importance of nonpartisanship on that board. The only agenda that someone who seeks a spot on the Board of Elections should have is free and fair elections, access to the polls from any legitimate voter without undue obstacles and without undue hardship. Thank you.
Just a minute, please. Hollis, is there anything you'd like to ask or say? This is Hollis's mother speaking.
You weren't supposed to tell anybody that. She's trying to keep that on the down low. Yes.
Daniel Eason.
Good evening. My name is Daniel Eason. I live at 11 Robin Street, Northwest in Rome, Georgia. A few years ago, when a new chief clerk was hired, I remembered his name. I keep up with politics pretty well, and he came from Sumter County. So I thought I should get involved. I should start paying attention to the elections board and the elections office. So I did what anybody who would want to be involved and learn would do. I hopped on my bike every second Tuesday of the month, and at noon I was here in this building attending elections board meetings, observing, listening up, asking questions, learning. And afterwards I'd head on over and get myself a roast beef relief and play the jukebox and relax. Most of the time, I found a room of 3 elections board members and the chief clerk and probably somebody from the League of Women Voters if I was not representing them on that occasion. And that was it. And that was it for every meeting up until just the last year when we started the primaries and we had the new equipment coming out and things started happening in this county. And all of a sudden, folks started coming in and wanting to get involved and wanting to interject, but they didn't have the groundwork laid for themselves. It's incumbent upon us to learn what we're getting into, to learn before we speak. You just had an allegation come forward just a few minutes ago of LNA testing begun when it shouldn't have begun. That question, that allegation was raised right here in this room last week and was answered. It was responded to, given a very good, clear answer that is not, in fact, what was witnessed. So we've had a lot of allegations by folks who don't really understand what they're seeing. About like me, if I were to look at a piece of abstract art and the first thing that should come out of my mouth is, what am I seeing? What am I looking at? It isn't, this is what the artist intended, or this is what's going on here. That's not something I'm familiar with. We've got a lot of allegations floating around this county. They don't appear at the state elections board meetings in formal allegations. I've attended every one of those meetings this year. We've only had one, to my knowledge, investigation into Floyd County, and that's what happened with the chief clerk on election night. We don't have more than 100 allegations before the state elections board right now. So we're floating these out in the public when we don't really know what we're talking about. And I hope that the board will hear from clearer heads here and move forward with better understanding of what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Sam Malone.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank the Floyd County Elections Board for running a wonderful election on last term. Look forward to the same. Second, I'd like to concur with the young lady from the League of Women Voters. My feelings are the same in that area. But my biggest concern is with the new voter law changes by the legislature, how much authority will be taken away from our local elections board? That's of great concern to me, because it's kind of hard to improve on something that is 99.9% accurate. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Justin Kelly.
Good afternoon. My name is Justin Kelly. It's 1453 Foster's Mill Road. Anything that I say going forward, I am not here acting on an agent of anyone or representative of anyone. I'm here of my own free accord, and these are my own opinions. So we have been told over and over again that we have to start maintaining trust in our elections. We have to start putting confidence into our elections. Well, this year there was a law passed that was to help to try to do that. Senate Bill 202. I sat through part of the caucus meeting. There were a lot of questions that were raised about some unknowns that might be going forward. Well, with any legislation that's passed at any level, there is any unknown area moving forward on that. So yes, we might not know some of the implications, but at the same time, the method that y'all are going to be voting on tonight or moving forward the recommendation for, you don't know anything about that either. You don't know there's no precedent behind that. Mr. Garner said that. We really don't know what would come of any of this. So what I'm saying is, let's start putting trust in our legislation that's being passed. Let's start putting trust into our elections, because I'll tell you right now, I've seen polling numbers that I've been a part of that there is roughly about 10% of the electorate that voted that will not vote again, or they are unsure if they are going to vote again because they don't trust any of this. An overwhelming majority, I'll call it 67%, said that they will not, that they don't trust the vote and they are unsure if their vote even counted, so why bother? 4% said they will not vote. 5% said they really don't know if they're going to because they don't trust the process at all. And that's here at home in Northwest Georgia. So keep that in mind going forward. And I will say that if something is not done about this, I will take a personal interest in each of your elections going forward. I will find somebody to run against you, and I will help fundraise for them to replace you. That's it. Thank you.
Ralph Davis.
Good evening, how y'all doing? I'm not up here to threaten anybody, anything, okay? Ralph Davis, 35 Blacks Bluff Road, Rome, Georgia. I've been a citizen of Rome since 1986. And I have always felt that the election process in Rome is very trustworthy. And one reason that comes to mind is my precinct where I vote wouldn't let me vote because they knew me because I didn't put Junior down as my last name there. They said, what's on your license? Ralph Davis Jr. Well, yes, but you got to put down there. Now, I've served as a poll watcher at different locations, and I can tell you that the poll workers are very diligent in doing the very best they can to make sure the process is fair and equitable. I don't know how the integrity of the election in Northwest Georgia came about because the results historically has been the same. The last election, the results were historically the way they've run all along. It's in fact, if you look at it, the University of Georgia beat Vanderbilt 62-0, Arkansas 37-0, and some school that, Wright, you might know, Auburn 34-10. Now, if they complain about winning with those large margins because of officiating, then something's wrong with the University of Georgia, right? If the vote in Northwest Georgia was the same as it has been historically, then I don't know why the furor and the integrity of the vote. It's been the same as usual. Now, as far as the election board going from 3 to 5, I think that's a good idea. I think 3 to 5 gives better input in the decisions that the board makes, and that's something that I think I would agree with. But as far as an investigation to the integrity of the election, I don't think that's something that needs to be done. The last thing I had was, I can't remember what it is right now. I'm sorry. That's enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. Marcia Atkins.
Hello, Marcia Atkins, 608 River Avenue, Southwest, Rome, Georgia. I'm concerned regarding recent issues that I've witnessed in commission meetings, Board of Elections meetings, and read about in local news publications. I think we all want fair and transparent elections. I was present during much of the initial paper ballot count during the November 2020 election cycle. I've also attended Board of Election meetings and County Commission meetings. During the recount, I witnessed Dr. Conrad, Dr. Reese, and Mr. Husser work extremely hard to conduct a fair and transparent election through multiple recounts and under very difficult circumstances, the pandemic, the loss of staff, the general circumstances. They were always courteous, knowledgeable, and accommodating, as well as being cognizant of and well informed regarding the election process. Before I agreed to be a poll watcher, I made sure that I understood the election process and what was supposed to be happening and what was taking place. Our board of election volunteers devoted long hours, endured very questionable behavior. I started to say rude, but it was questionable. And then constant questioning while carrying out their duties. We owe them a huge debt of gratitude for their efforts. The only unprofessional conduct that I witnessed was that of Mr. Brady during the initial election, who, although was very friendly and verbose, was frequently demeaning to staff and visitors, often had to be reminded of rules and protocol regarding voter protocols, and who often made grandiose and misleading statements regarding his role as the Board of Elections chief. I don't want any of the folks, Ms. Waddell or the Board of Election volunteers, to be painted with the same brush of his behavior. They worked around that, and I thought they made it very professional. I reviewed the notes that I kept during the initial paper count of votes, most of which was conducted by temporary employees. Only poll watchers from the Democratic Party who had been trained were present during the initial count. By the time the recount was in swing, Ms. Waddell and the Citizen Board were managing the process. I witnessed members of the Republican Party requesting to poll watch without credentials or training. And in spite of that, they were accommodated as quickly and as professionally as possible and were allowed to do poll watching. And I thought that was very acceptable. I watched as a citizen in the large meeting room and did shifts in the small room. And through my training from the Observer Corps and the ACLU, I was convinced the initial count and subsequent recounts were fair. During the first count, Mr. Brady was often absent for long periods of time, and I was grateful that poll watchers had been assigned because these were temporary workers on their own.
Your time's up, I'm sorry.
We needed the poll watchers there. We needed our Board of Election members there taking a good eye on it.
If you can kind of bring it to a close, your time has expired.
Oh, sorry. Anyway, well, the main thing I wanted to do was just thank the board for everything that they have done. Appreciate
Thank you. Michael Morgan. I think that's what I said. I hope so.
Okay. My name is Michael Morgan. I live at 1235 Radio Springs Road, just outside of Rome city limits. I was blessed with the opportunity a couple of weeks ago to speak with you folks, and I want to issue an apology if I offended anyone with my tone or my delivery. Based on Commissioner Hancock's statement at the conclusion of that meeting, I believe you didn't address me specifically, but I took note of your comments. Okay, so forgive me if I offended you. No, you didn't. I have taken the opportunity over the last couple of weeks to read through your bylaws, which I've finally got my hands on through a little bit of digging and research. One of them has the question I have is when were these bylaws ratified by the citizens of Floyd County?
I couldn't answer that, but I'll get you an answer.
Okay.
If they were, I would assume that they were ratified by the board, but I don't know the answer to that, but I'll get it for you.
I would appreciate that. I'll be here in a couple of weeks. I'll get that answer from you. The second question I have regarding your bylaws is in section 1-12, paragraph 1-12-01 regarding the public comments, the chapter, the section of the agenda that we're in right now. It does limit it to 3 minutes for comment, which I am going to do my best to adhere to, so I'm halfway through that. But the second subchapter of that section is 1-12-02, public participation on the agenda items. Those I'm presuming are the first and second reading opportunities for the public to come up and speak either for or against a topic. Is that correct?
That would be correct.
I noticed in a couple of weeks ago, the meeting that took place, you allowed 10 minutes for that, those transactions, each one of them. According to your own bylaws, it's limited to 3 minutes. So are we going to change the bylaws or change the proceedings the way they're being handled? So that was the second
The way we
point.
handle public hearings is with the 10 minutes for each side to speak on public hearings.
Okay, but that, I couldn't find that. Can you tell me what section that's in your bylaws?
Yes, sir, I can't stand here and quote you line item, but I can get you the answers, and I will promise you that I will do that.
Okay. All I've got to go off is the section 1-12-02, public participation on agenda items. After signing up, members of the public may speak for 3 minutes, only once on any item on the agenda. So, thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you next time.
Mr. McCord, maybe you could check on that?
Yes, I can tell you that the ULDC prescribes 10 minutes on a rezoning for and against. It's separate from agenda. The ULDC takes precedent over your bylaws because you both adopted the ULDC as well. It's seen as a public hearing, but specifically for a rezoning.
Thank you very much.
Plus, right, you usually have more than one person speaking in that 10-minute period as well.
That's correct. There's one item, one speaker still here that I cannot make out the last name, but it's on 5 Greenbrier Lane. Edward? Yeah. Please come forward. I apologize, but your writing is somewhat similar to mine.
My handwriting is poor. I am Edward Disney. I live at 5 Greenbrier Lane here in Rome. First, I want to thank you for your dedication and hard work on behalf of the residents and businesses of Floyd County. I also want to thank you for your willingness to listen to the concerns of your constituents. I know at times it can be trying. Your patience is appreciated. I am here to show my support for the Board of Elections and Vanessa Waddell, and to express my concern at the current efforts to discredit the integrity of the Board of Elections and Vanessa Waddell in particular. Hopefully, we all share the same goals of having transparent and fair elections that protect the voting rights of all eligible voters. This is easily achieved through cooperation with one another. I have voted in every national, state election since 1972. During those 49 years, I have never questioned the integrity or the transparency of our elections on the local, state, and national level, especially the past elections on November 3rd, 2020 and January 5th, 2021. Despite the allegations of widespread voter fraud, there has been no credible evidence presented to the public or the courts to prove these claims are true. Thank you.
Thank you very much. thank you all for your public participation tonight and voicing your concerns or expressing your feelings, and we appreciate that. We'll move into the other parts of our business tonight. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of our last meeting? Seeing and hearing none, those stand approved as submitted. We have no special recognitions tonight, but we do have several proclamations. The first one, Commissioner Maxey is going to take care of, is the National Disability Employment Awareness Month. If those of you who are here on that would like to come up and stand at the podium with Commissioner Maxey, we would appreciate it.
Whereas for 76 years, the National Disability Employment Awareness Month has helped spread awareness of celebrations of the many and various contributions of American workers with disabilities. Whereas people with disabilities share the desire to achieve personal success, economical self-sufficiency through meaningful work in the communities and deserve equal employment opportunities. And whereas the theme, American Recovery Powers of Inclusion, reflects the importance to ensure that people with disabilities have full access to employment and community involvement during the national recovery of COVID-19 epidemic. And whereas employees deserve with diverse abilities, strength, business, increased competition, and drive innovations. Whereas Rome, Georgia welcomes the talents of all people and commits to bring an inclusive community that prioritizes access and opportunities to all residents, regardless of their disability status. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Rome City Commission and the Floyd County Board of Commissioners do hereby recognize October as Disability Employment Awareness Month and call upon employers to continue to make steps towards this year to recruit, hire, retain, and advance individuals with disabilities and work to pursue the goal of opportunities, full participation, economic self-sufficiency, and independent living for people with disabilities. And that's the Floyd County Board of Commissioners. Right back, be chairman. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you so much. We appreciate that. I love your recognition.
Thank you.
Yes, we very much appreciate it.
Thank you.
We had two other proclamations that were requested tonight, but I don't believe anyone is here for those. If there is no one here for those, we will send those proclamations to you in the mail. So thank you for being here and doing that. Our next item, we'll ask our director of our planning commission to come forward, and these are the first readings. The second readings where the public hearings will be held will be on our second meeting of the month on October the 26th. This will be a first reading on these items, and Art, if you would read those, all of them, we will see if there's any objection to putting them on first reading.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, everyone. The first item that we have for first reading is file Z21-1015, which is requesting rezoning from suburban residential to light industrial for properties located at both 0 and 0 Orberg Road, Rome, Georgia 30165 for tax parcels F13Y 208 and 207. The applicant owner is 33HSS 4685 LLC Beers Housing Incorporated. The planning staff recommended approval with conditions and was approved 7-0 by the Planning Commission, also with conditions. The next is file Z21-1012, which is requesting rezoning from light industrial to suburban residential for the property located at 0 Huffacre Road in Rome, 30165, Floyd County tax parcel G12Y 014. The applicant owner is Jeff Grant. The planning staff recommended approval and was recommended for approval by the Planning Commission by a vote of 6-0. The next item is file Z211013, which requests rezoning from agricultural residential to heavy industrial for property located at 890 Turkey Mountain Road, Rome, 30165, Floyd County tax parcel K09X028. The applicant owner is AARCAT LLC. The planning staff recommended approval and was approved 6-0 by the Planning Commission. The next item is file SUP 211001, which requests a special use permit for climate control storage for the property located at 4111 Martha Berry Highway, Rome, 30165, Floyd County tax parcel J11X199, zone community commercial. The applicant is Brian Spears. The owner is Clint Hubbard. The planning staff recommends approval and was approved 6-0 by the Planning Commission. The last item, Mr. Chairman, is file Z211014, which requests rezoning from suburban residential to heavy industrial for the property located at 4441 Adairsville Road, Adairsville, Georgia, 30103, Floyd County tax parcel N09082. The applicant owner is Bill Pelfrey and Charles Wayne Baxter. The planning staff recommends approval and was approved 6-0 by the Planning Commission. Mr. Chairman, the Planning Department presents the following for your consideration for placement on second reading 2 weeks from this evening.
Thank you very much, Art. We appreciate those. Those will be placed on first reading tonight. And as I said, the public hearings will be on the second meeting, October the 26th, where people speaking for or against will have the opportunity to speak.
Thank y'all.
Thank you. We have no second readings tonight in public hearings, no resolutions. Under the chairman's section, we have 3 items that we have for consideration, and two for consideration, 1 for information. And I'm going to ask Melanie Conrad to come forward as chair of the election board and introduce 2 people who will make some comments on some of the questions that have been asked.
So thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk about our proposals that we have. I want to introduce Winston Denmark and Carl Christie, who are attorneys representing us in this matter, specifically talking about the proposal. I'm going to let them discuss those particular issues. If you have any questions regarding the increase in the board, I'd be happy to address those.
Good evening, commissioners, and good evening, citizens. Again, my name is Winston Denmark, and this is my colleague, Carl Christie. We're attorneys representing the Board of Elections in this matter. We appreciate the opportunity to come before you this evening and address some of the concerns that, as I've sat and listened to the good citizens of Floyd County, these are matters of great concern. And they should be, because free and fair elections are at the core of our democracy. And I think everybody takes them profoundly seriously. And whenever there's even an allegation that our elections are problematic or compromised, that's something that is of the highest order that we should consider, both as a citizenry and as public officials. What brings us here this evening are a series of letters setting forth complaints from a citizen. And as I said when I spoke to you earlier, citizen participation is at the core of our democracy, and we welcome it. And many times citizens investigate, and they uncover things, and they find errors, and that's a good thing. And I know a lot of times there's a tendency to want to demonize citizens, or we get defensive because they've raised some concerns that may not necessarily place us in a favorable light. Well, that's not where we are now. So the process has commenced, the concerns have been raised, and so the question is, what ought we to do with them now? Once these matters come to light, a choice presents itself. You can be a part of a cover-up, or you can engage in a very transparent process of self-reflection with the goal towards getting better and being better. And so the Board of Elections has kind of taken the approach of, we're going to take this down to the studs. and figure out, investigate these allegations and determine if they're meritorious, and if so, to try to correct them. So specifically, let's talk about some of the allegations, and I won't go through all of them, but they're substantial. The first deals with ballot Dropbox irregularities. The citizen, Mr. Mark Swanson, who raised these concerns, he submitted Open Records Act requests and did some investigation on his own, and he believes that there are 117 violations related to Dropbox location and opening requirements, as well as Dropbox pickup and transfer procedures. Secondarily, election equipment security. Mr. Swanson believes that the use of equipment chain of custody forms were not followed by the Floyd County election staff. And so there were a number of concerns, and there are others that he raised that we are aware of, that we take seriously, and that has formed the basis of what we propose to you this evening. We all know that these allegations come against the backdrop of the Election Integrity Act of 2021, Senate Bill 202. And the state of Georgia, the General Assembly, has enacted this legislation. It's been signed by our governor. It allows the creation of so-called performance review boards that would come to Floyd County and review this process. And the funny thing about these boards, it's kind of like when you call the police, right? You call them because you want them to do something, but once they get there, they don't necessarily do what you want them to do, they do what they want to do. And so you open up a process, and they may go in a direction that maybe you didn't intend. The State Board of Elections can also conduct their own investigation and audit into these matters. And so that is always before us. So the issue is that the direction that we want to go? Because as we all know, at the end of that process, the state could take over the elections in Floyd County and wrestle local control from this community. And that's an extreme outcome. I think everybody would agree with that, because I think everybody's in favor of good government, transparency, free and fair elections. But I think that the people of Floyd County can govern themselves. And it's not required for the state of Georgia to come and tell Floyd County, here's what you shall do. And they may give you unfunded mandates. Now, we think you should do A, B, and C, and there's a price tag associated with it, and the taxpayer should pick that up. And so to avoid that extreme outcome, maybe there's an intermediate step, something that can and should be done short of the state coming in and dictating what happens here. And so what the Board of Elections has proposed is just that intermediate step. And let me say, before I even describe what it is, to the extent that doesn't bear fruit and doesn't produce the outcome that is desired, well, SB 202 isn't going anywhere. So it's not mutually exclusive. We could start with a lesser remedy, and if that doesn't work, then we can always go to SB 202. But once you start down that road, you know, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. I mean, that's where it is at that point. And so we cede control to the state. So as opposed to doing that, what we are recommending to you is an independent audit, a peer review, where our friends and neighbors from adjacent counties come in and they review our procedures. They audit us and determine what mistakes have been made. Now, and I say mistakes, as long as Board of Elections and election staffs are populated by human beings, well, mistakes are going to happen. But the issue is, have we operated in good faith? Because mistakes are going to happen, but if you are operating in good faith, that's the key to understanding whether we can rehabilitate the process or whether we have some dire problems. I believe that whoever looks at this matter, a peer review, the state of Georgia, or whomever, would have to conclude that while there may have been mistakes, everybody proceeded on the basis of trying to do what was right by the citizens of Floyd County. That aside, what they find is what they find. And we expect that this peer review board of election officials from neighboring counties are going to make recommendations. They're going to find things, deficiencies, irregularities, and when they do, we have to own those. The goal is not to vindicate ourselves, to defend ourselves, to cover anything up. The goal is to say, if mistakes have been made, they're benign errors, A, and B, they can be fixed. And C, they can be fixed by the people of Floyd County, and we don't need the state of Georgia to do it for us. So this process that we're proposing would commence as soon as you good commissioners approve the proposal. I used the word independent when I described the audit, and that was a deliberate word. The audit would not be, and I really have to emphasize this, would not be conducted by the Floyd County Board of Elections or anybody associated with their staff. It would be, if you approve this, it would now reside with the Board of Commissioners. You would take over the process at that point. If you approve it, now you would contact the neighboring counties. You would give them the mandate. You would work out the logistics. The Board of Elections would step away, have no involvement in the process whatsoever. You can't review yourself. So the Board of Elections would have to step aside and bring somebody else in, and they would do it, and they would submit their findings, their recommendations, and we would have to own those. I think this is a far better step than immediately going to the nuclear option. We could do it ourselves first, and I think that's going to yield a positive result that everybody's going to be happy with. It's an open and transparent process. If for some reason there's still a large measure of dissatisfaction with this independent peer review, SB 202 ain't going nowhere. So we could always go to that option if necessary. So we think that this is a reasoned and measured proposal that will address the concerns, not brush them aside, not cover them up, and that's geared towards getting better. You know, when mistakes happen, you know, I said we don't want to demonize the good citizens who bring these things to our attention. Well, it's always easy to impute sinister motives to county officials. If a mistake is made, can it ever be that it was a benign error? No, it always has to be sinister, evil, deliberate. It's not always that. Sometimes imperfect human beings make errors and they have an opportunity to improve and to get better. That's what we're doing. So let's not demonize the election staff any more than we want to demonize the good citizens who bring these matters to our attention. The goal is to work together. We don't have to play the game of horns and halos, good guys and bad guys. Maybe everybody, the citizens who bring these things to our attention are the good guys, and maybe the election staff who made some benign errors but who are willing to work things out and to improve, maybe they're the good guys too. So maybe there doesn't have to be a villain. And so we're proposing that we try this. Let's try this. And keep the state of Georgia down at the Gold Dome and out of Floyd County unless absolutely necessary. Thank you very much.
Mr. Christie, is there anything you want to add, or did that pretty well get it?
The only thing I'll add is that we did do a little bit of research into Mr. Swanson's allegations, and we did find some of them did have merit. For example, the website could be improved. If you look at Gordon County's website, it's much more, on their front page, elections front page, there's a link to the LNA testing. You go there, it tells you where the LNA testing will take place, when, how to get there, how to participate. That's a good process improvement that could be implemented in Floyd County. So as Mr. Denmark said, there are definitely things out there that we could improve on, but I don't think they're malicious. I think that they're just oversights, and we're willing to work to get that done.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you very much, both of you, for your comments. Melanie, thank you for introducing, and we appreciate it. Thank you very much. I think we now have two items to consider that the commission will be considering. I think Commissioner Waters would like to start that off, and then I know Commissioner Hancock and others maybe, but Commissioner Hancock has some comments.
Thank you, Chairman Bagby. First, I would like to say I agree. It's great that we can come together in one room and be civil and share our concerns, share our opinions, and I'm so glad that we live in a place where we can do that. And I want to also thank Melanie Conrad, John Scott Husser, and Corey Townsend for the work they have done in coming together for this meeting tonight. And just, I know y'all have been put in a tumultuous sort of situation, and we appreciate what you all do. And so I'm making a motion that this body endorses the proposal of the Floyd County Board of Elections and Registration to increase its membership from 3 to 5, and I believe that has to go before our legislators to make that happen. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And to arrange for an independent third-party peer review, and will withhold action calling for a performance review under SB 202 pending the outcome of the peer review, and that any necessary documents needed to carry out this action be drafted by our attorney.
Thank you very much. Putting that in form of a motion.
That's my motion.
All right. Commissioner Hancock, would you like to make some comments, and then I'll ask for if there's a second.
Yeah, there's just a few things. You know, not all of us do, but I do keep up with Facebook and a lot of the comments and a lot of the misinformation that's being put out on those social media sites. But I wanted to clarify just a few things. This commission has done a lot for elections since in the last year or 2 years. We've listened to every comment that has come up here, and we have reacted in some sort of manner. Nobody has been ignored. We've taken it to heart, and we've listened to everything. I wanted to just cover a few things. You know, when we were looking at the position at the clerk's office, we evaluated that, and we said, look, we need to pay that position more. There was an upgrade from a pay grade 14 to a pay grade 21. So we jumped that 7 pay grades to try to increase the quality that we would get in that position. And the deputy clerk was upgraded to a pay grade 16. Senior elections was pay grade 12, and then we got 2 part-time elections at a pay grade 8. We also added a full-time position in there. So, you know, we heard that they were short-staffed and they needed things. We heard it through the elections board. We heard it through the citizens, and we did that. We reacted, and we did that. We've also increased their budget from 2019 from a city election from $201,305 to $318,400. Their budget has doubled. So when I hear people say that the Floyd County Board of Commissioners is not doing anything to improve elections, I think we are. I mean, I think we're listening, and we're doing everything that we can to make that better. And those numbers were a municipal election. Of course, during a federal election or state election, the budget is a little bit higher than that, but the increase would go along with that. But there's a lot of misinformation floating out there, and everybody on this board is more than happy to explain anything, and we're transparent with everything that we do. Nobody has hid anything from anybody. Nobody has a personal agenda on this board to do anything but other than to bring voter integrity back to Floyd County and have the citizens trust the voting process. And if we have to make changes to do that, we're going to do that. Are we going to make changes that are always going to be positive on either side? You know, we try to, but probably not. There's some people that are going to leave angry no matter what we decide to do. But just know that this board is trying to do better. And we know that there is some issues with elections, and our election board knows that we have some issues we got to work out. That is a volunteer position, and they are representatives of the people. Those people are appointed, and they are regular citizens that sit on that board. They are completely separate from us. Once we appoint them, they govern and run that board. Our role as a commission is to fund them and make sure they have the things that they need in order to do their job. That is their responsibility to run the elections at that point. It's our position is to appoint them and then fund them once we get there. So I just want to be sure that everybody understands, and I've heard some people complaining about the election laws. Y'all, that is state legislation. Do your homework. That's state legislation that governs our state elections. It's not local elections. That's not anything anybody up here has made. Those laws are made at the state level, and they are pushed down to us, and we have to act on those laws. So a lot of times people think there's things that we can do that we actually can't do, that is beyond our span of control, and that needs to be handled through the state legislators. Just like changing this board to 5-member, we have to get that approved by our state legislators. So the recommendation comes from the election board, it comes to us, we approve it, and we send it to state legislators. They have the final say-so on that. and my last statement, right, I didn't mean to go this long, but the elections in Georgia altogether are putting everybody in a bad spot, and it starts at the top. It's not all started down at the local level. It starts at the top, and the laws have to be changed in order to make it successful at the local level, because a lot of your local leaders that you see sitting up here, hands are tied, and we take a beating on things that are beyond our control. So just know that. I don't want any sympathy from anybody in the room. I'm just telling you that's the facts. And if you want to know, just ask anybody up here or ask our attorney, and we'll be more than happy to explain to you what is within our control and what's not.
Thank you very much. Is there a second to Commissioner
Chairman
Waters?
Bagby, if I could, before you ask for a second, I want to make sure that we understand that this is a motion endorsing and not requiring or approving the peer review, because we understand that the Elections Board is a separate entity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garner. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Maxey seconds the motion. Is there further discussion? If not, please call the roll.
Commissioner Maxey?
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock?
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters?
Yes.
Chair Bagby?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Under Commissioner's report, are there any of your committees that anybody would like to comment on at this time? If not, Mr. Manager, Mr. McCord, do you have anything to?
No report.
Mr. Garner, anything from the attorneys?
No, sir.
Thank you very much. We have several items under the consent agenda. Ms. Dawkins, is everything in order on the consent agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chair, the consent agenda was reviewed in caucus and is in order.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Maxey, a second by Commissioner Waters to approve the consent agenda. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Maxey?
That's you.
Commissioner Maxey?
Okay, I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry. Yes.
Commissioner Hancock?
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters?
Yes.
Chair Bagby?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. There's no old business. We have, I believe, five items under new business. Mr. McCord, if you'd lead the discussion on those.
Yes, sir. Item 1, consider requests from current owners Jonathan and Crystal Mills at parcel D 19097A 167 Gadsden Road, Cave Spring, Georgia, to be de-annexed from the city of Cave Spring. Planning staff supports the application of agricultural residential, which will accommodate the current and requested use under the condition that the city of Cave Spring does vote to de-annex. I think our discussion in caucus was an SR zone.
Okay, we have item 1. I would like to tell everybody, if you need to leave, please do quietly. If not, we'll be through in about 5 minutes. So if you could hang with us, that would be good. Item 1 on the Cave Spring de-annexation. Do we have a motion on that?
So let's make sure we word this correctly. I'm making a motion that we approve the de-annexation if the city of Cave Spring requests that. So that's my motion.
And do you want to put that the zoning would remain?
The zoning would
SR?
remain SR until a later date when they go through the planning process.
Thank you very much. So we have a motion on item 1. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Waters, second by Commissioner Maxey to approve the de-annexation if the city of Cave Springs asks us to, with the zoning staying SR. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Maxey?
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock?
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters?
Yes.
Chair Bagby?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 2, consider request to approve additional quantities of rock excavation for runway 119 grading phase project. Project will be funded by 2013 SPLOST, and it will bring the total excavation amount to $50,400.
Do we have a motion on item 2?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hancock, second by Commissioner Waters to approve item 2. Is there further discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Maxey?
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock?
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters?
Yes.
Chair Bagby?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Item 3, consider change order number 8 from Carroll Daniel Construction for W10 Floyd County Jail head-end closed-circuit TV upgrade in the amount of $149,212.02. This is funded from 2017 SPLOST.
Thank you. Is there a motion on item 3?
Make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Waters, second by Commissioner Hancock to approve item 3. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Maxey,
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock,
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters,
Yes.
Chair Bagby,
Yes.
motion carries.
Item 4, consider recommendation from purchasing for a labor-only contract with UWS Incorporated for installation of water lines for Biddy Road and Highway 53 projects. Biddy Road will be at 108,750, and that will be a budget revision. Highway 53 is 158,150, and it is well below the current budgeted amount for State Route 53.
Since item 4 and 5 are basically the same thing, can you do both of them?
I will. Item 4 and 5 together would be the materials. Part 2 of that would be the materials. And consider the recommendation for purchasing for pipe and fittings for both Biddy Road and Highway 53. Biddy Road, 137,025. Highway 53, 176,991.
Thank you very much, and those will come out of the water fund.
That's correct.
Do we have a motion on items 4 and 5?
Make a motion we approve. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Maxey, a second by Commissioner Waters to approve items 4 and 5. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Maxey?
Yes.
Commissioner Hancock,
Yes.
Vice Chair Waters,
Yes.
Chair Bagby,
Yes.
motion carries.
There's no other business to come before this group. We want to thank you for your attendance and for your participation. It's what this country is about, and we stand adjourned.